for the sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires. Such a waste of existence. Spend our life searching for the sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires. Such a waste of existence. Waste of existence.
The sun is shining and the anxious earth is rising. Anxious earth is rising. I'm so happy.
Spend our life searching for the sense of belonging. Some people die before they fulfill their desires. Such a waste of existence.
Hey, it's Double Tribble channel on Twitch. Streaming to you live from New Hampshire. I live in rural New Hampshire, and I'm surrounded by forests and all kind of wild animals and stuff. It's pretty cool. And I stream about that sometimes. A lot of times I stream about science and technology, and occasionally civics and movies, a lot of stuff. Today, I was going to talk about universal basic income and also the results of the experiment that we did last time. I did experiments with ultraviolet radiation, ultraviolet light. And we did some experiments with that, so I want to show you what the results were of that, which were not... barely got results from it, but any results are results in the experiment, right? If something happens that you don't expect, then that's a positive outcome. So that's what we're talking. And then we'll talk about universal basic income, which is civics, I guess. I guess that's a civics thing, right? Talking about I'll explain what if you don't know what universal basic income is, I'll explain what it is. But all right, so let me show you what the results of the experiment were first. I don't know if this will probably be a short stream because it's kind of hot around here right now. It's got up to almost 30 out there today, so it's pretty hot. But I wanted to get this stream started while the sun was still going on, so I could power this with the sun. But I'm not going to be able to do that. Looks like the sun has already gone behind the trees there, so now well, we'll pull it from the batteries. It's still solar, right? So here are the battery. Here are the bananas. I did four different bananas. Okay, and the idea was that I heard that ultraviolet C radiation, which is the shortest wavelength, the highest energy ultraviolet, I heard that would do stuff to bananas. It would dark, change the color of the skin of the banana when you expose it to that light, but that other light won't do that. And that's kind of what I found out. That's kind of the results I got. I did 4 different bananas. One of them I just stuck out in the sun for a while. Now these are a couple days now. They've been banged around a little bit, so it's kind of hard. But there was basically no result on the one that was in the sun. There was no difference in the one that was in the. They're just aging normally like a normal banana. I don't see anything different that's going on here. So this was UVB, which is kind of in the middle of the UV spectrum, and in UVC, which it looks a little darker, but that's because it's just. I think some of these bananas got banged around a little bit more, because I actually had a piece of tape or this band across here when I exposed it, and I don't see any difference at all. That was with 18 minutes of this little teeny light that I had. And then so I said, okay, I had one that was exposed to UVA, which didn't do anything. It didn't make any difference to it at all. So I said, okay, I'll take that banana since it's still unused. I only had 4 bananas. So then I took the UVC light, it was a little battery powered light, and I said, okay, we'll burn this thing maximum we could. We did a whole like 45 minutes of this UVC light with a thing, one pinky width. That's a universal unit of measure. One pinky width from the banana. And I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see that in there, can't you? Yeah. It discolored it just a little bit here, but the part where where the light was got fried pretty good. Oh, you can see that. Yeah, you can see that, right? So it discolored a little bit here, where the light was shining, and right over where the light was, it's got a little dent in there or something. So apparently it killed it enough that it's, as the banana ages or whatever, it's caused. So the results of the experiment are, yes, UVC light apparently can discolor a banana, and the UV light I have sucks. That's the results of the experiment. It's not. Yeah, here's in case you guys, you can go back and look at the VODs, but this is the little UVC light that I had in it. Yeah, it's one of those guys you've probably seen those, right? And it's supposed to, but it's just little batteries, right? It's just little AAA batteries in this thing, so it's not going to put out that much light. The UVC light was powered by mains, right? So it got pretty hot, or made a lot of light, but it was the wrong frequency. It wasn't the frequency that would affect bananas. Another thing I'd like to do to test is on mushrooms. I have used mushrooms to produce vitamin D3, which I use for because I'm vegan, right? So the only way I can get D3 is with the sun, and I don't want to get skin cancer, so so I supplement. Also, we get in New Hampshire, you get 6 months out of the year where you're, it's 20 degrees below zero outside or whatever. I mean, that's only slightly exaggerated. It does get below 20 below. It gets 30 below outside sometimes. But basically you spend a lot of time indoors. Plus I'm older now, so I'm spending more time indoors. So and the supplements they have in the store. I mean, I finally found a supplement that was vegan and wouldn't have the other ingredients in there that would kill me. So that was pretty hard to find. I don't know if you guys have that in the rest of the world, but here in the United States, the whole healthcare system and medicine and everything is kind of designed to make people sick so that they make more money. And so any supplements, anything like that could help people, they'll influence that company to put ingredients in there that are not healthy. They subsidize fast food, all that kind of stuff. They try to make people sick in this country, which sucks. So we killed 1 million of our own citizens, okay, during the pandemic. I don't know if you guys know that. A lot of people, maybe people don't know that. We're the only country in the world that killed 1 million of our own citizens. So that tells you what's going on in the U.S. So anyway, so I was making vitamin D3 myself because I couldn't find any that was safe that I could eat. But I finally did find some eventually, and I'm still not really sure about it. But you just take just ordinary, lots of different fungi will do it, but just ordinary button mushrooms, these white mushrooms that you get in the store, and stick them under UVB, and they will make vitamin D, same way that your skin does, except it won't cause skin cancer that way, probably. But I noticed when I did that, when I exposed it to the light, they darkened a little bit. They got a little brown when I exposed them to the light. So I want to do some experiments around that and try the different frequencies of the light on them to see what they do, see if it discolors the mushrooms. And also do a control to see if it was just oxidation or something that was causing that discoloration. I'm not sure. So that's something that's another experiment that I'd like to do sometime with ultraviolet light. So, all right, I wanted to talk a little bit about universal basic income, and I was talking to somebody the other day. Let's put that. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were a proponent of universal basic income, and I was kind of explaining my idea, what would work, and they were dismissive of it, and so I thought, well, okay, I can't discuss it with that person, but I thought it's a good topic to talk about, and this is something that I am familiar with. Way back in about 12 years ago, I wrote about this. At that time, I don't think they were using the term universal basic income. It was called something else. But I don't know if you guys have heard of the Uniting Amendment. It's the crowdsourced constitutional amendment. It does a whole bunch of stuff. And one of the things it does is to set up a UBI, set up a universal basic income. That was that constitutional amendment was designed was written or whatever, developed by people about 12 years ago. He had like 40 or 50,000 people or something like that were. Anyway, it was a crowdsourced thing, right? So they wrote a constitutional amendment. It does a whole bunch of things, everything. It does a new tax system. It does term limits and fixing the Supreme Court and blah blah blah. You name it. It does it. One of the things is universal basic income. So it's they call it basic assistance, but let me back up a little bit. Let's talk about what basic income is. I'll throw up a page here. Oh, look at that. It's right there. Look at that. Okay. Can you see that? That's pretty good, isn't it? Let's move that over a little bit. Scooch you over. There we go. So universal basic income means everybody in the world gets a fixed amount of money, no matter what. No means test, no nothing. Everybody, universal meaning everybody in the world, and basic income meaning enough to whatever the amount they need to satisfy basic needs, like food and shelter and stuff like that, clothing, that kind of thing. And the idea is, because things are changing, and it's just fair. It's not fair to have people dying in the street or homeless or so stressed out because they're they don't know if they're going to eat or they're going to get kicked out of their house or whatever. So it's just a fair way to do things, I think. And so that's what universal basic income is. Everybody in the world gets a set amount of money to cover everything. But that's kind of tough to do. So you limit it. You limit it to a certain geographical area, certain socioeconomic group, whatever. And they've done all kinds of pilot tests. Various countries have done different things to test this out. And I've searched. I don't know if there's a lot of data on the results, but I mean, one result you can know is going to happen is that 100% of the people who get the money, if it's sufficient, won't be poor anymore. You can guarantee that, right? If they get enough money to take care of their stuff, they won't be poor anymore. So this is what it's just social welfare program they call it. So, and this was proposed long time ago. I mean, way back. Nixon, I think, had something like this. There's also they try to tie it into the tax system because politicians like to do that, but and then they call it something else. But it's basically the same thing. You give people enough to live on. And we kind of have that in the U.S. We kind of have things like that, but it's not sufficient, and it's patchwork, and it's run by politicians who don't know what the fuck they're doing, so it's just, it's messed up. And some of the arguments are, well, you pay people, then they won't work. Well, if they're not making enough to live on, then there must be some reason why they're not working anyway, or they're not able to get enough money. So, and of course, we keep coming up with more stuff. The latest thing is AI, and then robotics. People aren't really prepared for robotics. Robotics is going to hit here really before the end of this decade. We're gonna have people getting laid off all over the place, being replaced by robots, and we'll have a lot of people who there just won't be enough jobs for people. And I think in the U.S. right now we're about 50% of the people are working only, or maybe even less. And that's just going to continue to go. It's going to be fewer and fewer percent of the population. And so what do you do? I mean, what do you do with everybody who doesn't, if there are only a few jobs available that require actual people to do them, and the rest are done by robots or AI or whatever, what do people do, for money? And this is one of the proposals. This is probably what is going to happen. And it'll be ad hoc stuff going on, and just messed up. Unless we have a revolution, I mean, which is the preferred way to do it. The preferred way to do it is have a worldwide revolution, and just completely reset the whole system, and start out with something that's a little, system that actually cares about people and is fair. So anyway, this I know this is the Wikipedia article. I don't know if I want to read all this in here. They go they go way back here. It's just none of them are universal basic income because they're not universal, right? They don't cover everybody in the world, so they're not universal. But people use the word UBI, even though whatever particular proposal may not be actually universal, or it may not be enough to take care of people's everything. They still call it UBI. We had a presidential candidate here in the United States. His name was Andrew Yang. I met him several times, spoke to him about it, and I thought he had gotten the idea from me because I had written this several years before, but it's just been out there, because his idea was very similar to what I had put out on this, written about in this, to contribute to this amendment to the Constitution. But yeah, he didn't win. So people aren't ready for it. At least the wealthy people aren't ready for this yet, and other ones who run everything. So, eventually, I don't know how. We'll get to the point where, if they keep, if lots of people lose their jobs, and there isn't something, they'll feed them and keep them housed and all that kind of stuff. They'll get pissed, and then all the politicians will end up at re-education camps in Kansas or something. So they got to do something. they got to be thinking about that. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Andrew Yang. Famous business people like Elon Musk, Pierre. I don't know who this guy is. Who is that guy? He's famous? I don't know. Andrew Yang. What is this? Who is this guy? Pierre Mourad Omadiyar is a French-born Iranian-American billionaire. Okay. Iranian-American. Okay, so French-born. Okay, I get it. So his parents or his ancestors came to France at some point, and he was born. Okay, got it. And he's got a lot of money. All right. Jeremy Corbyn and Tulsi Gabbard. I met her too. So this is funny. So I met this guy and I met this guy, and they're in the same sentence. That's kind of funny. All right. Seems to be affected by AI in the next 3 to 5 years. Universal basic income could help fill the gap left by this jobs apocalypse. Yeah. Tubbs, freedom dividend. That was Andrew Yang. So yeah, there are all kinds of different proposals, and they've done tests in different places. Let's see, pilot programs here. Let me see. Negative income tax, which is, technically none of these things are universal basic income. Okay, they're not. They don't cover everybody. They don't cover the whole world. So they're not universal, but they're kind of under the same umbrella idea of transfer payments to people who are poor, or to everybody. The idea with universal basic income is that it goes to every single person, whether they're poor or not, which to me seems kind of stupid. But, the argument for that is that you don't have to means test, but there are ways around that, and I'll show you how that works. Let's see, province, Canada. Okay, so Canada had a couple different things. That was a long time. Oh, that was 60s and 70s. They had some stuff. Remember, we have a revolution in the United States in the 60s and 70s. So I think that's where that idea first started coming about. All right. So anyway, they've been all over the place. They've had different things in Germany. Iran has a pretty robust one, apparently. They give a lot of people money, but it doesn't seem like a lot of money to each person. think the idea was taking, distributing the money from the oil. When they make money from the oil, the idea, it seems only fair, right? It's a natural resource that comes from the the ground, and so it seems kind of fair to just give that to everybody. And Alaska does that too. In Alaska, they take the profits that they make from oil, they take a tiny bit of it and give it to the people. Here's Iran. Iran became the first country to introduce a system of UBI in December 2010. It was paid to all citizens and replaced the gasoline subsidies, electricity, and food products as the country applied for years to reduce inequalities and poverty. So in 2012, it was $40 per person per month. U.S. $480 per year for a single person. Okay. Oh, I see. They're just saying how much per year. Okay. For a family of 5, $2,300 per year. So that's not a lot of money. I don't know what it costs to live in Iran, so I don't know if that doesn't seem like a lot of money. I don't know if that would be enough to keep people alive or not in Iran. In the U.S., the poverty level here in the U.S. is like $16K or something like that per year, which I don't know how anybody. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to live on that much. You can live on that much, but it doesn't help the problem of stress and all the other things. To only have that much money. So we're talking about Canada, Ontario. Okay, basic income pilot. So they had, in this article here, they talk about a lot of these different things, and I just, dug in, went down the rabbit hole on a couple of them to find out what the results were, and the results are very mushy. It's kind of it's kind of hard to tell. What either the tests weren't designed properly, or they'd get halfway through the test and some new politician would get elected and axe the whole thing. So it's kind of messed up. But it's just you can't deny that if you give somebody enough people to take enough money, that they won't be poor anymore, then they won't be poor anymore. There's kind of a logical thing there, So if you want to get rid of poverty and all that, then that's the way to do it. Some other problems. There are lots of other problems. It isn't just money. There's artificial scarcity. Where the people who have wealth will. And this happens in a lot of different things, like like professions. Professions do that. They limit the number of people who can practice that profession, so that there's a scarce supply of that, of people who know that thing, and then then they can charge more money because of that, and it's like that with housing. They do the same thing. They just, after this COVID thing, a lot of people got kicked out of their houses because they couldn't afford the mortgages anymore. And in the house, they didn't, they either just let the houses go and didn't, the bank hung on to them after they repossessed the house and just let them sit and rot, or they sold them and to people who had enough money to pay cash for a house, which is wealthy people, and sometimes wealthy people just buy it as a second home or something like that. So that's not available anymore for people to live in, or they buy it and don't want to rent it out for whatever reason, and they keep it off the market, and so that caused a big housing shortage. And it's just it's something that's so simple to fix. It would be so simple to fix it if they wanted to, but they don't want to because people make more money that way. Certain people, while other people are homeless. It's very sad. All these like these people who are working from home now, they don't need all that office space. They got all these office buildings that are virtually empty. Why not convert those into condos or something for people to live in? Yeah, because they don't want to do that because they want to keep artificial scarcity. So universal basic income does not solve that. Does not solve that. The way to solve that problem is to allow people to build new homes, or to allow people to do stuff. Allow people to be doctors, allow people to be lawyers or whatever. And then you'll have more people doing that. You'll have a higher supply, and so the cost will go down, and there'll be enough available for everybody. So it's anyway. That's kind of off topic here. So anyway, here they're talking about the Alaska Permanent Fund. Yeah. Sovereign wealth. Wait, more precisely, the fund resembles a sovereign wealth fund. Yeah. Investing in resource organizations, bond stocks, and other conservative estimates. Bond stocks and other conservative investment options. Okay, I don't think stocks and bonds are conservative investment options. That's about I don't know. Besides, giving your money to Uncle Ralph for his bubblegum machine or something, stocks is sure got to be the pretty risky stuff. So I don't know why they call that conservative investments. Anyway, Alaska Permanent Fund. So let's see, they get $1,600 annually per resident in 2019. So I don't know what it is now. Oh, it has never exceeded $2,100. Okay, so it varies from year to year apparently. All right. So not enough to change most people's lives. Maybe a few, if somebody is really just destitute, $1,600 a year would help them. That's $100 a month. Yeah, that would help a lot of you. It would help me. I'll tell you what. That would help me. That's enough to. It wouldn't change my life dramatically, but it would certainly relieve stress a little bit. So that helps a little bit. But that's not what universal basic income. The idea is to give people enough to live on, completely, and give it to everybody, universal, everybody in the world. All right, so they talk about other welfare programs here. And they're all kind of food stamps. They're well, they used to call it food stamps. It's called SNAP now, Supplemental Nutritional something program, SNAP. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. That's what they call it now. And child stuff, people who have kids. Restricted to parents of children. Yeah, it's kind of bizarre that you want to help out kids who are born into poverty, right? If they're born into poverty, that's not good. You don't want a kid growing up in poverty because that can mess up the rest of their life, and so you want to help out kids who are born into poverty. But so many of these things end up, because of the way politics work, that benefit ends up going to people making six-figure incomes. They don't need it, but that's where it goes usually. Conditional cash transfer, a regular payment given to families, but only to the poor. It is usually dependent on basic conditions such as sending their children to school, or having them vaccinated. Programs include Bolsa Familia in Brazil, and Programa Prospera in Mexico. Okay. Guaranteed minimum income differs from basic income in that it is restricted to those in search of work, and possibly other restrictions such as savings being below a certain level. Example programs are unemployment benefits in UK Francely. Okay, so yeah, so there's means tested. There's some bureaucrats sitting somewhere in a, you know, in some government agency somewhere is deciding who gets, who's going to survive and who isn't going to. That's not good either. It's got to be, if the person needs it, then they should be able to get it, and there shouldn't be a government bureaucrat in there saying whether they get it or not. It should just be, kind of automatic, if they, or maybe to everyone who asks for it or something like that, petitions, polls, referendums. Well, let's see if they got Uniting Amendment on here. That was the name of the amendment, the crowdsourced amendment. Let's see. That's started in 2012 or late 2013, I think, is when it became public, or 2014, something like that. Let's see. Switzerland. Oxford University. Yeah, so I wonder what they're going to say about it. No, give the money to the wealthy people. Let's see. Americans support a monthly basic income. 51% of Americans support monthly basic income of $1,000. Huh. UK, there was a letter signed. So I don't know why they put these things in the same. Oh, I see. This is all part of. Okay, this is part of their study. Okay, I get it. Pew Research study. Okay, I'm not even going to bother reading what they have to say. In a poll by Hill Harris X, 55% of Americans voted in favor of UBI. 51%. So yeah, we already got more than half the people want it. So, change their petition called for monthly. So, all right, let's look at this thing that I worked on over a decade ago about, I don't know when this was. I don't know, we can look here and see when this was written. Oh, it might not even show it. Oh, there it is, okay. So, February 2014, and they called it basic assistance here. So let's see. Provides basic assistance to all those in need. We're entering an era massive unemployment due to technological innovation. So this was 12 years ago. So if we don't have, it will lead to widespread dissatisfaction and eventually a revolution. Yeah, we're already there, man. We're going to have the revolution. It's coming. All right, providing assistance to those in need will eliminate poverty, protect against domestic unrest, and preserve our liberty. Yeah, morally consistent. Okay. Okay, so these are arguments just for helping the poor, which I don't think I think people want to help the poor, right? I don't think there are many. Maybe I don't know. Probably I don't know. If you actually could read the minds of some of the billionaires, they probably don't give a shit either way. A lot of them. Like if you took a poll of all the Hollywood producers, I'm sure it'd be, and actually could read their mind, not what they say, but what they think. I'm sure you'd get 100%. They don't give a shit at all about poor people. So it's not. I guess it's not universal. You think, okay, well, everybody wants to help the poor. Well, no. But it's like 80%, I would imagine. I don't know. I don't know how you could do that. Wouldn't that be cool if we could get to the point where we could read people's minds and do accurate polling? That'd be something. Enemies. Okay, I don't know what we got here. The future of employment. Yeah, technological singularity. There it is. Look at this. Wow, a dozen years ago talking about that. Okay. The effects on society will be profound. Okay. Yes. Okay. Those with the talent and skills to adapt, and the privilege to avoid discrimination will continue to work while many others will be unemployed. Yeah. Okay. Hegemonic tactics, like inefficient government assistance programs. Huh. That's kind of what I was talking about, right? You get people in government, deciding who lives and who dies, or who gets money and who doesn't, or whatever. All right, so basic assistance, not basic income. I know what this is. So this is road to serfdom. What is that? What does that have to do with this? To defend against domestic. Oh, okay, I remember this. Okay. Even the most ardent free market advocates support a safety net for those in need. Hayek, yeah, supported that. Look at that. So yeah, it's not like there are people, It's not like, laissez-faire, let them die in the street. It's laissez-faire, but don't let anybody die. That's what they're saying, I guess. That's that group of people. Funding for basic assistance comes from special funds set aside for that purpose. Okay, this is talking about the specific thing here. This amendment would set up a special fund, like a Social Security fund or something like that. That's kind of set aside separate, so that the Pentagon can't steal the money from it or something. And so a portion of the tax revenue goes to the fund each year. Money from the fund will be used to provide for those who cannot care for themselves and are unable to obtain help from private sources. Payments from the fund are sufficient to provide for basic needs. So that's it. That's even more than what some of the other pilot programs were. Because some of those were just like $1,000 a month or whatever, which wouldn't cover it. Payments are in lieu of all other government assistance. And there is no Byzantine bureaucracy. All right, I don't know. Okay. Oh, so what if people cheat? Okay. If anyone can request it, won't people cheat? What if people don't need assistance requested? Isn't that unfair? Okay, the system of distribution of basic assistance implemented by the United Amendment doesn't allow the government to decide who gets assistance and who doesn't. It lets those in need request and receive it without interference. It is likely that some people who don't need it will request it. Studies done on our current food assistance program, which are administered by the government, show that about 1 to 2% of people lie to get benefits. Yeah, there's a perception out there that people cheat. What do they call them? Welfare. There's some derogatory term. Probably better that I don't remember it. But they have they like people who get welfare are cheating the system or something, or but it's like it's just a couple percent of the people. In a system that is utterly corrupt, it's usually the people who are honest that are poor, right? So they're not gonna. Poor people aren't gonna want to cheat the system, It's the wealthy people are the ones who cheat the system. Without any enforcement by the government, that would likely be higher. Right, okay, I see what they're saying. So they're saying that the current program is 1 to 2% of people lie to get benefits currently under the current food program. And if you just got rid of all the bullshit and paperwork and bureaucrats and everything, and just told people to fill out the form and send it in, and didn't do any checks or anything, it would be higher than 1 to 2%. Maybe just double that or triple that or whatever. But how high would it be? It says, okay, maybe 10%, even 20%. The worst theoretical case would be if 100% of the people requested benefits. That would be universal basic income. Look at that. So if if you had a system, okay, so the idea is you have a system where you don't want to be sending money to Bill Gates and Oprah Winfrey, right? That's and and Elon Musk. They don't need universal basic income. So it's you want to target it towards the people who need it. If you got this much pie and you try to distribute to universal, everybody in the world, then everybody's going to get this much pie, right? And it's not going to do any good. But if you got this much pie and you distribute it to the 10 or 20% in the world who need it and actually need it, then they're going to get this much, and then maybe it'll help them, So the idea is to try to have fewer people get the universal basic income, but don't have a system where you've got bureaucrats in a government somewhere deciding who gets it and who doesn't, because then democracy goes away when it happens. So the idea is, how do you do that? How do you distribute it only to the poor people? Or if you don't have a means test, how do you determine who needs it? And the idea is you tell people, okay, here are the guidelines, right? If you don't have enough money to buy food and rent and clothing and maybe a little bit more for other stuff, whatever the basic needs are. If you don't have enough money to do that, then apply for this thing and we'll give you the money. And so the people who really need it will do that. And some people who don't need it will cheat and do it, but it won't be, it'll be maybe 10 or 20% of the people who are cheating, not 100%. Whereas universal basic income, it's 100% of the people who are cheating, right? Because 100% of people, 100% of the people who don't need it will be getting it anyway, right? So anyway, that makes a lot more sense than universal basic income, which goes to everybody whether they need it or not, because they get more money. Here, I'll do a calculation here. Let's see. I don't know how many people there are in the world. I'll just do it for the U.S. because that's because I know that those numbers a little bit better. Let's see how much. Let's see what the population of U.S. population. 33.3 million. Okay, so if and would they say the poverty rate was 16,000 or something like that? Well, if you did say 10,000 to everybody, $10,000, times 333.3 million. That is $3.3 trillion to give everybody $10,000 universally, right? So most of that money would be going to people who don't need it then, right? 80% of that money would be going to people who don't need it. If the poverty rate is 20%, then 80% of that money would be going to people who don't need it. So that seems kind of screwed up to me. So $3.3 trillion. So let's say, all right, so let's say you have $3.3 trillion, $3.3 trillion to use on this program. And you say, okay, only people who are poor, who can't afford to live, do it. And whatever, let's say that's 20% of the people. So 333 times 0.2, so that would go to 66 million, almost 67 million people. So if you distributed $3.3 trillion to 66 million people, let's see, Here's billion. It's hard to type in $1 trillion here. I should do it to use scientific notation. Let's see, 3.3. So that's 3,300 million. All right, there's 1,000. Okay, divided by that number. So that'd be $50,000 a piece. Then you could get. Did I do that right? 50,000. Yeah. Well, the other way to do it would be to 10 times. Yeah, that'd be 50,000. I could have done that in my head, idiot. Okay, so you get it, right? You get the idea. if you have, let's just limit it to the United States. It's not universal. It's just United States, okay? But you get the idea. If we did it worldwide, it'd be the same thing. You have $3.3 trillion to spend on this program, okay? And you want to distribute it. If you just did straight UBI, where every single person in the United States got it, they'd each get $10,000 a year, and 80% of that money would be going to people who don't need it. If you set up a system whereby only people who request it, and and ask them to essentially be on the honor system, right? You're on the honor system. Here are the guidelines. Send us a request and we'll send you the money. Then if 20% of the people request it, then they're getting $50K, and you're going to have people cheating. So maybe it's 30%. Then they're going to get 30 each person would get $30,000, which is enough to change somebody's life who is poor. That's enough for them to live on. And most of it would not be going to people who don't need it. There'd be some percentage that would cheat, but most of it would not be going to people who don't need it. So it's a better system. It's better than universal. Send it to everybody, including the billionaires and everybody, right? So, and it's better than having a means test, because then the government decides who gets the money and who doesn't, and the government can control what they're doing, and the government can say, if you don't vote for us, you're not going to get your money, and then democracy goes away. So that's universal basic income in a nutshell. Let me see if there's anything else in here. Okay, talk about other petitions, polls, referendum. I don't know why they don't have United Amendment in here. That thing has been censored from just about every single source. I asked an AI the other day. The AI is supposed to be trained on everything that exists, right? I asked them about it, and they wouldn't answer it. They didn't know about it. It got censored from their database. That's just amazing. A lot of stuff, a lot of censorship going on out there. You guys don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Maybe I'll do a stream on that. You don't know what you don't know. Here are 10 things that you didn't hear of that you should have, or something like that. Let's see, universal inheritance, triple revolution. The triple revolution. Oh, that looks interesting. What is that? It was an open memorandum. Oh, okay. Oh, I've heard about this before. Let's look at this. This is kind of interesting. All right, I don't know what I'm going to here, so I'm gonna. Okay. All right, that was a mistake. All right, the Triple Revolution was an open memorandum to U.S. President Lyndon Johnson. You guys remember? You know who Lyndon Johnson was? You know who he is? He was the president who kind of was. Well, he was the president. After Kennedy got assassinated, he became president, and he made the his legacy is that he made the Vietnam War, much, much worse, killed a lot of people. But he also signed in to law the Civil Rights Act, and so that's just like most presidents, right? He has a checkered or a complex legacy. Let's see. So yeah, he did some good stuff, and what was it? Which one did? Let me see. I think he signed both of them. Don't you love these rabbit holes they go down here, just for kicks? Let's see, civil rights. Okay, should we get that? Okay, Johnson on the Civil Rights Act of 1964's passage. Oh, look at that! You got 4 minutes of this guy talking. You want to hear that? Why not? Okay, this guy.
My fellow Americans, I am about to sign into law the Civil Rights Act of 1964. I want to take this occasion to talk to you about what that law means to every American. 188 years ago this week, a small band of valiant men began a long struggle for freedom. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, not only to found a nation, but to forge an ideal of freedom, not only for political independence, but for personal liberty, not only to eliminate foreign rule, but to establish the rule of justice in the affairs of men. That struggle was a turning point in our history. Today, in far corners of distant continents, the ideals of those American patriots still shape the struggles of men who hunger for freedom. This is a proud triumph. Yet those who founded our country knew that freedom would be secure only if each generation fought to renew and enlarge its meaning. From the Minutemen at Concord to the soldiers in Vietnam, each generation has been equal to that trust. Americans of every race and color have died in battle to protect our freedom. Americans of every race and color have worked to build a nation of widening opportunities. Now, our generation of Americans has been called on to continue the unending search for justice within our own borders. We believe that all men are created equal, yet many are denied equal treatment. We believe that all men have certain unalienable rights, yet many Americans do not enjoy those rights. We believe that all men are entitled to the blessings of liberty, yet millions are being deprived of those blessings, not because of their own failures, but because of the color of their skin. The reasons are deeply embedded in history and tradition and the nature of man. We can understand without rancor or hatred how this all happened, but it cannot continue. Our Constitution, the foundation of our republic, forbids it. The principles of our freedom forbid it. Morality forbids it. And the law I will sign tonight forbids it. That law is the product of months of the most careful debate and discussion. It was proposed more than 1 year ago by our late and beloved President, John F. Kennedy. It received the bipartisan support of more than 2/3 of the members of both the House and the Senate. An overwhelming majority of Republicans, as well as Democrats, voted for it. It has received the thoughtful support of tens of thousands of civic and religious leaders in all parts of this nation. And it is supported by the great majority of the American people. The purpose of this law is simple. It does not restrict the freedom of any American so long as he respects the rights of others. It does not give special treatment to any citizen. It does say the only limit to a man's hope for happiness and for the future of his children shall be his own ability.
That it? That it? I guess that's it. Okay. So yeah, he it's like, you know, common sense, but they were back then. People didn't want to give rights to everybody. It's hard to imagine that that's how it was, you know. But that was the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and then he also did the Voting Rights Act of 65 and the Civil Rights Act of 68. All those he did under his watch there. So he did some good stuff, but he also did some really shitty stuff too in Vietnam. Killed a bunch of people, and just made that war get worse and worse and worse. So, if they have UBI in here, do they have UBI? Nixon proposed UBI, I think. No, they don't have UBI in here. Universal. No, they don't have it in here. Okay, so that's who Johnson was. He was a president. He came after Kennedy. And then, and he fucked up Vietnam so bad that he couldn't even run for re-election. His own, but basically the same thing. It's kind of very. This is interesting, but it's very similar to what's going on now. You got a president in office who is supporting a war, you know, overseas that's killing a bunch of people unjustly, and Democrat. And their own base is against them on that issue, and they're unable to even run for their party's nomination because their own party kicked them out, or doesn't want them because they are supporting an unpopular war. So who am I talking about? Am I talking about Johnson or am I talking about Biden? Yeah. So yeah. Certainly rhymes that time. I hear a rhyme there. All right. Triple revolution. This is what Johnson did. Okay. The Triple Revolution was an open memorandum to the U.S. President Johnson. Okay, this is to Johnson. Okay. All right. Okay, I remember this. Right. Okay. And other government figures in 1964 concerned three mega trends of the time: increasing use of automation, the nuclear arms race, and advancements in human rights. God, it's like, all those are still problems. All those are still here. This is 60 years ago. 1964, exactly 60 years ago. It's the same goddamn problems. Automation, nuclear war. We still got threat of destroying the planet from nuclear bombs, and there are people who don't have their rights respected. All right, drafted under the auspices of the Center for the Study of Democratic Institutions, it was signed by an array of noted social activists, professors, and technologists who identified themselves as the Ad Hoc Committee on the Triple Revolution. The chief, and there was a revolution, by the way. So this is kind of interesting. Right, this is 1964, and then second half of this late 60s, early 70s is when we had a huge revolution here in the U.S. and just everything changed. Okay, the statement identified 3 revolutions underway in the world: the cybernation revolution of increasing automation, the weaponry revolution of mutually assured destruction, and human rights revolution. It discussed primarily the cybernation revolution. The committee claimed that machines would usher in a system of almost unlimited productive capacity while continually reducing the number of manual laborers needed and increasing the skill needed to work. And all that happened, thereby producing increasing levels of unemployment. It proposed that the government should ease this transformation through large-scale public works, low-cost housing, public transit, electric power development, income redistribution, union representation for the unemployed, and government restraint on technology deployment. Oh, Jesus. It was sounding really good there until the end. Well, that kind of happened, didn't it? I mean, it's much different today. They're not, It used to be, if you needed a hole dug, you had to get, a dozen people or a couple dozen people with shovels to dig the hole. Actually, the steam shovel came before this time, but it was it's the idea. There's just more and more of that going on, and there's just fewer and fewer manual labor type stuff. Now it's AI, artificial intelligence, and it's not manual labor. There isn't as much manual labor going on now because of automation. Factories that build things, lights out factories, that sort of thing. But AI is going to replace a lot of the work that people do, sitting in an office typing on a computer. That's going to go away. It's going to replace a lot of stuff. It's going to replace, it potentially can, unless they do this bullshit here, and The problem is not the technology. The problem is society's capacity to take it, to accept it, to adapt to it. That's the problem. We need to make our society such a way that it's more adaptive, more resilient, or more amenable to technology, because it's better. It's the whole purpose of coming up with labor-saving devices is to save labor, right? Duh. We're not, we don't use that term anymore, but in the mid 20th century, that's what it was called. They called them labor-saving devices. And the idea was that you didn't have to work so much. Anybody. Women who worked in the back then, it was women who did all the housework. Men did, went to work and got paid for their job. Women were slaves at home and didn't get paid doing their job. And the idea was that the labor-saving devices would help women at home with, washing machines and that kind of shit. Stuff that just helps. Vacuum cleaners. I don't know. dishwashers. Yeah, there used to be a lot of labor that was done domestically. Domestically meaning at home. Housework that was lessened because of that, because of automation and stuff. Diapers. Throughout up until maybe the 70s or something like that. I don't know, when did they came out with this disposable diaper? It used to be all cloth diapers, and women had to change the baby's diapers, and it was a mess. it was not good, and they had to wash them, so by hand first, and then with a washing machine. So, yeah. But women are no longer slaves anymore. Well, they've come a long way since the mid-20th century, that's for sure. It's still screwed up, but it's not as bad as it used to be. Okay, the government would ease this transformation through large-scale public works. Yeah, government's restraint and technology deployment. Yeah, so we just need to have society more able to accept technology more quickly and change generally more quickly, because the idea is that when the change is making things better, and if people don't understand that, and are myopic and just don't really can't handle that, then it causes problems that it doesn't need to. Those problems don't need to exist. All it needs is just properly educating people, having a population that's educated and understand. They can see what's going on, and in like UBI and stuff like that, to make it easier for people to make the transition. So anyway, okay. So this was okay. Oh, okay. They're talking about Martin Luther King, talking about this triple revolution. I'll read what it says here. There can be no gainsaying. I don't know what that word means. No gainsaying of the fact. Does anybody know what gainsaying means? All right, I'll look it up. I don't know what that word means. Gerund or present participle, gainsaying. It's a verb. Okay, gainsaying. Okay, I get it right. Gainsay. This is gainsay. Gainsaying would be the gerund of that. Okay, got it. Deny or contradict a fact or statement. The impact of railroads cannot be gainsaid. Gainsaying. Okay, so denying. That's another word for denying, I guess. There can be no gainsaying, denying, gainsaying, of the fact that the Great Revolution is taking place in the world today. Yeah, 68. So they knew it was coming. They knew. So the intellectuals and the techno nerds and all that, they saw it. They knew it was coming in 64, in early 60s, right? When this thing was done. And then Martin Luther King was ready to tell the public about it in 68. They knew that this revolution was coming in the late 60s. Yeah, he's saying it's already taken place, and it was huge. Maybe one day I'll go through all the different stuff that happened, but it was just an amazing time to be alive. Just all kinds of stuff. I wish I would have been more politically conscious at that time, just aware, stuff. So yeah, maybe one day I'll go through all that, what we went through at that time. All right, so the Great Revolution taking place in the world today. In a sense, it is a triple revolution. That is a technological revolution with the impact of automation and cybernation. Then there's a revolution in weaponry, with the emergence of atomic and nuclear weapons of warfare. And then there is a human rights revolution with a freedom explosion that is taking place all over the world. Yes, we do live in a period where changes are taking place. And there is still the voice crying through the vista of time, saying, "Behold, I make all things new. Former things are passed away." Huh. So yeah, that kind of just kind of gives the feel for what was going on at that time about change. The change that they was happening and that they saw was happening. And it was less than a decade. I mean, this a year after this, the first moon landing happened. A year after this statement here, and that was a huge thing. That's the biggest thing in history, human history so far, right? Going to the moon. I think that's the biggest thing in human history so far. Dangerous visions. Okay, they're just talking about other people who talk about it, just to give you a feel for what. Oh, here's one. Here's a later one. Okay, here we go. Here's one in 2015. Rise of the Robots. Martin Ford claims the Triple Revolution's predictions of steady decline in future employment were not wrong, but rather premature. He cites, but there were declines in manual labor, which is what I think that's what the thing addressed, right? Was manual labor. Manual laborers needed. Okay, so that did change. That was huge. You understand? I mean, it used to be you went to a gas station. There was somebody there to pump your gas. You didn't get out of your car. They checked under your hood and did all this stuff, and your car needed to be repaired every month, just about, because it was just the technology was not good enough. It needed to be constantly repaired. And now you buy a car and it runs for 10 years, It's hardly hard if you get a good one. So that's changed. In factories, everything used to be handwork. People would do everything by hand. They'd assemble stuff by hand. They'd solder stuff by hand. Now it's all robots in factories, and grab stuff and put them in place, and So it has been a lot of labor has been eliminated, and that's continuing. They keep talking about it. Don't listen to politicians. This is when they say, "Oh, we're gonna bring back American, manufacturing in America, and we'll have all these jobs." No. Well, they'll bring back manufacturing, and it will all be done by capital equipment, and there'll be no jobs. There'll be a lot of stuff made, and a lot of money made, but there won't be jobs. That's bullshit. It's not gonna. There are no manufacturing jobs. It's all done by robots now, and even more so going forward. So, all right, let's see what this. Okay, this is Martin Ford. Okay, he's 7 deadly trends that began in the 70s and 80s, and by the mid-10s appeared set to continue. Okay, so he's got these things. His mega trends, right? Stagnation in real wages, declining labor share of national income in many countries, breakdown of Bohler's law, Bowley's law. I don't know what that is. It's some esoteric thing. While corporate profits increased, declining labor force participation, diminishing job creation, lengthening jobless recoveries, and soaring long-term unemployment, rising inequality, declining incomes and underemployment for recent college graduates, polarization, and part-time jobs. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This seems to be labor focused. So there is. If you're a future thinker and you're thinking about how things are going to be in the future and how to hit a target that's going to be in the future, if you're organizing around unions and labor stuff and all that, because there won't be any labor. There isn't going to be any employment. There'll be 5% of the population. 20 years from now, 5% of the population will be employed. How is labor going to fix? Making labor unions or anything like that going to help? It's not going to help. So if your thing is concentrated around labor, that's not helpful. It's going to fade away. You won't have anything. You got to think in terms of how the future is going to be. How are things going to be in the future, and then adjust your plans or your ideas or whatever towards that. So this guy was writing in 2015, and his thing was all about labor. But yeah, there are a bunch of mega trends going on that are contributing to how things are messed up. Maybe one of these days I'll do a stream like that where I'll just go through all of the mega trends that contribute to what's going on right now. I have to think about it myself to put it together into some coherent presentation. But all right, so the triple revolution, yeah. List of basic income models. Oh, that looks interesting. Let's take a look at that. All right, let's see what we get. Oh shit! What happened? Okay, we can look at this. Look at all these. Basic income is a form of Social Security. See, they're kind of blurring the terminology here a little bit. Unconditionally due to all on an individual basis without means test or work requirement. Yep. So everybody in the world gets money, no matter who they are, no matter how much money they make. Blah blah blah. That's universal basic income. And then they got all derivatives or other stuff. Universal data wages. Recurring wages earned by empowering individuals to become data producers. Negative income tax. Yeah, we didn't talk about that. That's kind of the same thing. Look at this. Look at the names over here. Milton Friedman. It's like these super ultra. They're libertarian, I guess. Not. I was going to say conservative, but Friedman was libertarian. But so it's not like this is some commie thing or something. This is pretty has wide acceptance. Negative income tax. Yeah, that was basically they do the thing, but they tie it into the tax system just to make it complex, just to be assholes and make it just piss people off and make them upset about doing their taxes. All right, wage subsidy, participation income, scope limited to people in work. See, that's not going to work, right? If you got 5% of it's like people go, no, I don't want to give money to people who aren't working, only for people who are working or willing to work. Blah, 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 It's like when you just fight. What is? I don't know. I just threw that number out, 5%. I don't know what the number is. Maybe somebody has done that and figured out what the number is going to be. More accurate number. But I'm guessing, like, where we. What did I say? The end of this decade? Maybe 10 years from now, it'll be close to 5%. It'll be under 10% for sure. And people aren't prepared for that. That's a huge change, and people just aren't prepared for that. If they were educated and they understood what was going on and what we're then it wouldn't be such a big deal. They could handle it. Anyway, so people who think that all the solutions have to do with wage justice, that ain't gonna do it. That's gonna go away. All right, partial basic, okay. Any basic income set at a level that is less than enough to meet a person's basic needs, okay. Partial basic income, okay. Citizens dividend. Dividend on land value tax values. Land value tax values from land. Wow. Dividend on land value tax values from land and rent. Okay. A lot of words there. Let's see. Universal dividend. This is okay, based on some dependent on a portion of production. Okay, yeah, so it's right, basic income for households in the form of basic income or negative income tax for working people with children. Look at this. Working people with children only. Yeah, we have a lot of things that kind of, one of the problems of housing is that there are too many breeders, too many people making more babies. That doesn't help the housing problem to make more babies. Because in 20 years they're going to be out there trying to find housing, right? So oh wait, what's this here? We got a whole bunch more here. $8,000 UBI, $4,000 minimum income, $4,000 carbon tax dividend, also known as supplemental security income. For those under 65. Okay, I don't know what this is. I don't know what they're talking about there. Basic income and social insurance. They didn't explain that. They got a guy's name there. Stakeholding grants. European regional basic income. Basic income for a region, for example, Europe. Okay, that's what we were just talking about, right? I was trying to remember when I was doing the thing with the calculator. It was too hard for me to think globally. What the global income is and what and all that kind of stuff. It was just too hard to think. So I did it based on the U.S. to try to get some numbers on that. And we figured out that if it was universal within the United States, if it was universal to everybody in the United States, then everybody would get less than $1,000 a month with $3.3 trillion to distribute. But if it was only distributed to poor people, or maybe the bottom 25%, then those people would get, 30, 40,000, whatever it worked out to be. 30 to 35,000, which would be enough to live on, right? I think you can live on. You wouldn't have you wouldn't be able to have an extravagant lifestyle today with 33,000, but you could get by, I think, in most places. Unless you're a congressman. A congressman needs more than 174,000, apparently. You guys know about that? You know how much your congress people get and your senators? What their salary is? It's the average salary, right? That's what you would think, right? That would be fair, right? Congressmen, they should get the average, right? Whatever the average everybody gets. Right now they're making $174,000 per year plus a whole bunch of perks and benefits and shit. That's how much Congress gets. And there are congressmen out there saying, "Oh, we don't have enough money to live on. We got to raise our pay." $174,000. So let's make that the minimum income. We can do that, right? Makes $174,000 the minimum income. make that the UBI. Everybody gets the same amount that Congress gets. That would be a good UBI, wouldn't it? Just tell Congress, okay, set your salary, Congress. Whatever you set it to, everybody in the country gets the same thing. UBI. Go ahead, set your salary, Congress. What we got? Is this Tom? Oh, that is the Thomas Paine. Stakeholding grants. So this is 300 years ago, or 250, 300 years ago, or something like that. A large one-time grant usually received when the individual reaches maturity. Oh, I see. So this is like, when somebody gets whatever, turns 18 or whatever, they get something. They get a stake. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, a lot of people you tell them, oh, well, UBI is, that's redistribution of wealth. We don't want redistribution. No, it's redistribution. We don't want redistribution is bad. A tax by definition is redistribution. If you're against redistribution, then you're against all taxes. You're against any government spending at all. You're against everything. Any tax by definition is a redistribution of wealth. You're taking money from somebody and giving it to somebody else. So, and under the U.S. system, most of the money comes from the poor people and the middle class, and the money ends up going to the wealthy people. That's how money flows through our tax system. The poor people and the middle income people pay a huge chunk of their 30-50%, whatever the number is, into the tax system, and then it goes into the government, and then the government gives that money to wealthy people, companies and stuff like that. That's how our tax system works right now. Conditional tax transfers, basic income with strings attached. Not a guarantee because the conditions exist. The conditions are easily fulfilled. For example, children going to school. Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg. Just give money to the poor. Yeah, but he's making it conditional. So there you go. There's a billionaire who says, yeah, just give money to the poor, but make them do what we want them to do before they get the money. That's him. That's a billionaire. There's going to be a big struggle about that, right? Capitalism is going to fail at some point because there's just going to be too much stuff. There won't no. I mean, right now there's no scarcity at least in the developed world. Scarcity is gone. Natural scarcity. If the system was able to function properly and regular capitalism, just free flow of people doing what they want to do, there's no more scarcity. But the wealthy people are creating artificial scarcity, like what I spoke about earlier with the housing. Buying up all those houses and then not putting them back on the market or renting them out or anything or selling them again. That's artificial scarcity in order to drive up the cost of rent. So why would banks want to drive up the cost of rent? Because if properties get more rent, they have more value, and if they have more value, then people will pay more for them when they buy them, and when they pay more to buy a house, then their mortgage is going to be more, and if the mortgage is more, then the banks will make more money off of that mortgage. That's one of the reasons. Basic income for special regions. Basic income for food. Global basic income. Global basic income foundation. That's what I was talking about, right? I mean, that's the same thing. That's the same thing as universal basic income. I don't understand. Oh, okay, these are like different models. Okay, this is the model then. Right? This is it. This is the universal basic. If it's global basic income, let's see what that says. I don't know what that is. Let's see. Giving everyone in the world a guaranteed minimum income of money on a regular basis. The proposal usually suggests that the basic income be unconditional. Global basic income is part of the wider discussion on basic income, which typically implemented or proposed at the national level. Yeah, see, if it's at the national level, then it's not it's not universal. It's not whatever. That's semantics, I guess. Right? So there's no. Okay, I thought there was maybe a specific thing, but it is what it says. That's it, right? I guess there are a bunch of people talking about different things about it, but local basic income. Yeah, that's been tried. They're trying that all over the place now. Different towns and stuff are doing their own basic income experiments. Social credit. I don't know what that is. They don't say what that is. Social credit movement. Oh, in the 20s and 30s. Okay. Yeah, in the early part of the 20th century there was a huge progressive thing going on. As a result of technology, we had the Industrial Revolution, and folks were just maybe that's when the steam shovel came. Anyway, there was a lot of stuff going on. 20s, and cars came out, and there was just a lot of technological innovation at that time. We came up with light bulb was invented, first airplane flight, just everything, you name it. Stuff was happening at the turn of the century, and then the result was, society was just not capable of keeping up with it, and it caused a lot of movements. A lot of people wanting change and dissatisfaction, and then that led to progressive type ideas. Basic income plus flat tax. Equal rate tax. Yeah. You know what a flat tax would be? I bet you guys don't know this. Guess how much a tax rate would be if we implemented a flat tax on every single dollar that changed hands in the United States. How much would that tax be to equal what we're making right now? To generate the same amount of money that the United States brings in right now in revenue. How much do you think that would be? What is the tax rate if we had a flat tax that taxed every dollar and there were no exemptions and no bullshit loopholes and exemptions and deductions and all that kind of stuff? How much would the tax rate have to be to make as much as we make right now in taxes? Take a guess. How much do you think it would be? Go ahead, I'll give you some time to guess. No, that's too high. No, lower. No, lower. No, lower. Less than 1%. Less than 1%. If we tacked a flat tax on every single dollar that changed hands, without any exemptions or deductions, we could bring in more money than we bring in now with less than 1% tax. So if you're paying more than 1% in tax right now, you're getting screwed. You're getting the short end of the stick. Just in case you didn't know that. And yes, I do have numbers to back that up. If anybody wants to know, I'll let them know what the numbers are. Basic income plus VAT. So these are just basic income plus some sort of tax or whatever. All these things. Social dividend. Basic income instead of subventions. I don't know what that means. Carbon fee and dividend. Basic income to disaster regions. Basic income in the form of energy credits. Basic income startup. Jesus, there's a universal right to capital income. 3 pillars. The 3 pillars. The 3 pillars. I don't know what that is. There are probably all kinds of. I wonder if that's somebody read the Triple Revolution and said, oh, let's call it the 3 pillars instead. Is it the same thing? I don't know. All right, so there are a bunch of different proposals out there, but I gave you my take on it shouldn't go to billionaires. It should only go to people who need it. And if you do it that way, then it'll actually help, And there's a way to do it without means test, without having a bureaucrat deciding who gets it, So, okay, and we learned a new word, gainsaying. Gainsay. How about that? Maybe I'll sneak that into my stream sometime. Gainsay. Okay, cannot be denied. Gainsay. Okay. All right, so that was UBI. What else did we have? I guess that was it. All right, well, thank you for watching. And, of course, we're at the end of the stream. So what do we talk about? We talked about, I gave the results of my experiment on the bananas and the radiation. We irradiated some bananas to see what would happen to them. And so I shared the results of that. And then we spoke about universal basic income and all the different types of stuff. And I showed you one that would only distribute it to poor people. And that would work better because they would get more money that way. So that's what we talked about. And we talked about the triple revolution. Learned about that. Yeah, I'll have to do a stream on the 60s and 70s, that whole revolution, one of these days. I'll read about it, refresh my memory a little bit, and then do a stream on it. What did we talk? We talked about all different models of basic income. Talked about Lyndon B. Johnson, what was going on in his time. So, talked about all that stuff. All right, well, appreciate you coming. And, okay, we won't do a raid. So we appreciate you coming. Appreciate you stopping by, everybody. Wear your masks. COVID is really bad right now. Make sure you wear your it's got to be N95. Let me show you my mask again. It's got to be an N95 mask with the things that go all the way behind your head. The ones that go around behind your ears don't work. So, and those of you going to the Twitch thing in San Diego, did they do that yet? Maybe they did that already. But yeah, if you're going anywhere where there are a bunch of people, make sure you wear your mask. And if you're going to a big event like that, make sure you wear your mask, a couple weeks before you go, so you don't catch COVID and end up spreading it to a bunch of people, right? Just generally wear your mask whenever you're around other people. That's because it's really bad right now. Over 1,000 people a week are dying. Over 1,000 Americans each week dead. So please stop killing people. And wear your seatbelt for your own good. So, all right. Take care. Bye. Echo. 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 Echo.